Oh, this is so Bridgerton.
Welcome to About Time, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Stephen, and I've been a Doctor Who fan since 2005, and usually I'm joined on the podcast by my boyfriend Ben. Today, however, I'm joined by special guest Nick to discuss the 2024 episode Rogue. And quite frankly, it's about time. Hello listeners, welcome back. I'm here this week with my friend Nick.
Hey.
Hello Nick.
Hello, you cad.
How dare you. How are you? It's good to see you.
Great to see you. Doing really well, thank you. I'm really excited for this and thank you for having me again.
No, pleasure. So you were last here on the Star Beast, where we reminisced about Donna and all sorts.
I was half dying on that one because I told you that I developed a really horrible flu after doing that one. So I actually feel...
Oh, yes, you did.
Yeah, I feel more alive this time.
Oh, that's good. So maybe I'm going to be the under the weather one today because my hay fever's been absolutely awful today.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't normally take anything for it, but I think I'm going to have to start taking something because it's getting ridiculous. Anywho, so we're here to talk about episode 6 of the current series, Rogue, otherwise known as the Bridgerton episode.
The Bridgerton. I've actually never watched Bridgerton.
Oh, I was going to be my first question was going to be, have you ever watched it? Because I haven't either.
There we go. So straight in with that one. So did you find any of the Bridgerton references kind of got lost on you a little bit? I
mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? It's become very popular and I haven't watched it, but I am aware of it and I know bits about it. And actually Ben loves it. So
yeah, that's the irony.
Apparently got Jonathan Bailey naked in the first episode or something. I'm surprised that hasn't encouraged me to watch it, to be honest.
Well, there we go. I mean, I remember, I think it first showed during COVID and Mum and sister were watching it and I just knew it as that saucy period show, you know?
Saucy period show, yes.
Yeah, that's how I knew it.
But from what I'm aware of, it's they do that thing where they use pop songs, but arranged in the period style, and they did that a bit in this episode with Billie Eilish playing in the background of the string quartet.
So it really was a big throwback to that show, even with the Oh My Bridgerton and Ruby really getting excited by actually being immersed in something that obviously she watches on Netflix.
Yes, I have to say, I think that's a big theme of this series. I think TV and stories and stuff have been a huge part of this series. And I'm wondering, obviously at time of recording, we're yet to see the finale. I'm wondering if it's going to be relevant at all.
Well,
so we've had obviously references to Star Trek in Space Babies, Maestro looking to the camera and almost acknowledging that they're in a TV show.
Love Island?
Yes.
Dot and Bubble.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yes. So yeah, it's been a kind of ever-present theme, and I'm just part of me can't escape the feeling that Ncuti at least is playing it like he knows he's in a TV show, like the Doctor knows he's in a TV show. It's very interesting.
It certainly accounts for all of the musical numbers we've had.
Well, yeah.
I actually had a thought to myself about that, and I actually thought it's the 8 p.m. ice cream van. It came here last time.
Oh, perfect. Did it?
Yeah, last time.
Oh, there we go. A true sequel.
There we go. We're on track. I was thinking to myself, you know that bit in the Church on Ruby Road where he goes and then he comes back and she goes into the TARDIS and he's there and he's like, I'm the Doctor. And, after that, it's the Mrs. Flood speaking to the TV. I wonder if that was the pinnacle moment. I'm not sure. Or even just having Davina McCall there. Playing herself.
Oh, yeah, that was another thing as well, yeah. Because even that whole thing was based around a TV show that it's very even started on them filming a TV show.
That's it. And I'm even going to go down a further rabbit hole here. The name of the monster this week escapes me. Can you remember it?
Oh, the Childer?
The Childer, the bird people.
Yes.
It's quite interesting that their race wants to experience these things sort of vicariously by, body snatching and killing the host to actually experience that Regency era as if they are within a storyline. So that could be an echo of that.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot touching on that. We'll have to see if that's just coincidence or not. But I feel like with Russell, nothing is coincidence. We shall see. I don't know if you noticed this as well, but I noticed in this episode an awful lot of echoes of The Empty Child.
Oh, can you enlighten me on that?
Absolutely, yeah. The first one being Chulda sounds like Chula, like the ship they were chasing at the beginning of that.
Yes.
We will obviously talk about the character of Rogue.
Yes.
But many people are talking about his similarities to Captain Jack.
Absolutely.
Obviously, he's different, but there are some similarities to note. He has an American accent.
Yes.
He's got that queer, sort of very flirty thing going on.
Absolutely.
Rogue is a bounty hunter. Jack was a con man when we first met him. That kind of slightly dodgy, slightly morally grey. That scene where he reveals his ship and it's cloaked.
Yes.
And he's all proud of like showing off that massive ship and it becomes uncloaked.
That's it.
That's just like that bit in Empty Child. And then he makes the joke about the screwdriver and he said, I've got a few cabinets I need to putting up.
That's it.
Jack made the same joke in that story.
I've
and
got
then
a
the psychic
banana.
paper when he's like, yeah. And in a pinch, you could put up some shelves. And then that joke about the psychic paper, he hands it over and it says, you're hot.
That's it.
Like they had a similar joke with that. It's like, I feel like the writers of this episode must have been fans of The Empty Child or had watched it previously.
It's quite postmodern, isn't it?
What do you mean by that?
So with postmodernism, how you pastiche things and you make reference and
I see,
intertextual
yeah.
references. So it's in some ways like Russell referencing, I know it's different writers, but almost referencing his first series on the show and the ingredients that made it. And then all those different references within. Just in a different context.
Exactly, yeah. I think it's worked to varying degrees across the series. Like if you think back to Space Babies with Ruby phoning her mum.
Yes.
Which is obviously a rip-off of the scene at the end of the world, which it pales in comparison to that scene.
But it's like that scene 15 years later, or 20 even.
Yeah, but in my opinion, that scene is like they paid lip service to it by having Ruby just phone her mum just for the shits and giggles.
True.
Whereas the one in the end of the world, you know, it's it's really effective because Rose is standing there looking out at the Earth that's about to blow up.
Yes.
And then her mum is dead at that moment, but she's talking to her mum who's on Earth like that many millions of years ago.
That's right.
I just think it works so much, and the music and everything, it's taken so much more seriously.
I heard the music in my head as you spoke about it.
Yeah. But yeah, it is interesting how these things from the first era are sort of coming up again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you notice Rogue's kind of potential similarities to Jack?
Well, yes, you see, because I heard all of the rumours beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it could have been plausible.
I mean, some people are even still saying it could be a Jack pre-Empty Child, like before he had his memory wiped.
He didn't give his name. Like, he called himself Rogue because of the Dungeons and Dragons reference. It is possible. Do you know when the Doctor and him were walking down the arch and he said, right, Rogue, I know you're hot, I know you're tall and handsome and you look good in a jacket? I thought for a minute, and you know the way he got interrupted? I turned to Janine, my partner, and I said to her, oh, it could be Jack. It could be Jack. Because I said, you know, he always got referred to because of his coat. You know, like Yanto would always say, it's the coat.
Absolutely. My opinion on that really is, you know, the character of Jack, I think he served a purpose when he was in the show before. I don't think we need to tie it back into him now.
No.
But I can understand it's fun to speculate and sort of make those connections.
It's quite interesting, actually. I watched the last Dalek story with Jack in it.
Oh, yes. Revolution of the Daleks?
That's it, Revolution of the Daleks. Just to prepare myself, just in case it was him. And I will say, Jack has aged really badly. Just... I'm not being ageist. I mean,
as a character.
As a character, conceptually.
As a concept,
As a concept, he's aged terribly and it doesn't belong in today's world. And
no, he's a product of the 2000s.
He is, yeah. And so the only way I could have seen Rogue being Jack is if he was a complete reboot of Jack.
Yeah, well, in a way, I feel like that's what he is. Like, we don't know at this point. He could become a recurring character, which would be great, I think.
Of course.
But if he is, it feels kind of like a reinvention of like what Jack was.
That's
for the series.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this era's answer to Jack.
That's it. Yeah. I was actually thinking a lot about that.
Which is great.
Yeah, and you know, like how I remember when I first watched The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances, how, you know, I didn't like Jack at first. You're not meant to, right? And then, of course, you gradually like redeems himself and you see him join on with the TARDIS. And I remember feeling that real warmth when it was the Dr. Rose and Jack, you know, doing their thing in Boomtown. And, you know, it felt really quite familial, like these really like three close friends. And then I guess with Rogue, it's a bit more open-ended because he's more likable from the off of sorts. And, you know, is he going to come back? That's the question.
Yeah, I think it's definitely been left as a possibility.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I found him that likeable, to be honest.
No.
From the beginning. I liked the way the Doctor was taking the mick out of him being so aloof and like brooding.
Well, it's quite interesting because if this is within a TV show, he is definitely embodying an archetype, as in, you know, the whole sort of brooding, like as if he is like a character cutout of sorts. And that's what the Doctor's referring to. Like, you know, if you can do the brooding, if you can do this. It's like if he has ended up in an episode of Bridgerton, he has looked for this character.
Yeah. I swear this whole series has been so meta. Mm-hmm. Like, I really hope it's heading somewhere and it's not just, you know, they're not just trying to be clever for the sake of it, that it is actually, there's a point to it. You know what I mean?
Of course. Well, it'll be illusion shattering, whatever it is.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
But yeah, this was a good episode, I think. Did you like it?
I'd say over the run, it's not my most personal favourite.
Yeah.
I really loved Boom. Boom was my favourite of the series so far. Yeah. But I just love having the show back. That's the thing. That's, you know, we're talking now and we're on our way to the 2-part finale and it feels like it's gone in the blink of an eye.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, but it's a more concentrated series. Like I said to Janine, I said, you know, you'll get the episodes you really like. You'll get the ones where, you know, you're not as invested, but you're there to enjoy the story because you're there to see your favourite people next week and enjoy that. And that's just sort of what that episode was for me.
That is the good thing about Doctor Who, is that if you don't like an episode one week, there's going to be something completely different next week.
That's it. And that's the beauty of it. It's like a big chocolate box.
You never know what you're going to get.
Never know what you're going to get. It's like a milk tray.
Absolutely. But yeah, I will say about this episode, it did feel, after a run of quite a lot of unusual or experimental episodes, this did feel a lot more like traditional Doctor Who, didn't it? It felt like back to business as usual.
That's it. And it was fun.
You know, Monster of the Week kind of thing as well.
That's it. Of course, with Indira Varma in it, who was Susie.
Oh my God. I loved her.
Yeah, she was great, wasn't she?
She was, you could tell she was enjoying being a camp Doctor Who villain.
Yeah.
Especially when she got into full bird makeup.
That's it.
And she's like, you know, the bit where they're chasing them and she's running outside, like hitching her skirt up.
Yes.
And she's like, I want to be the Doctor. Like,
it's a hammy villain.
And when she comes into the ballroom and she's like, merci, willkommen und bienvenue, like, so dramatic.
You know what? She actually caught me off because I thought that she was going to be one of the villains from the start. Like, I just thought that she was already the villain, like, in her body.
Yes.
It was when then she got confronted. I was like, oh no, so she really is like that. She really is inhuman.
Yeah,
you know.
I know. So I felt the same. I thought the same because, you know, that line where she says he says about Stilton and she goes, "It's a very difficult cheese."
Yes.
It felt like aliens sort of explaining to each other what it was. You know what I mean?
High society social ineptness.
Yes. But since we've mentioned Lord Barton, I might need a minute.
I knew you were going to like him.
Well, do you know what I found out via Twitter? The actor has a former life, would you believe it, as an underwear model. So Google has been very helpful in that regard.
Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Shouldn't that help him get a part?
Well, there you go. Who knows?
Who knows?
That guy did slightly annoy me, though, I have to say. Some of his accent, you know, like, so he's doing the RP. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be super pedantic here for a second.
Sure,
but,
sure.
One is when he said about challenging him to a duel.
Mm-hmm.
He said duel, like as if it had a J at the beginning. Yes. In RP, you would not say that. You'd say duel. And then later on, he said something about the evening sun, but he said the evening. You don't say the evening, you say the evening. You say the before a vowel. I sound like an absolute twat, but
No. If you're going to do it, do your research.
Yeah, I'm just really nerdy and geeky about that stuff. I mean, you could say, okay, for the second one, he was an alien, so it doesn't really matter. But the first one, he was still human.
I just love that opened with, "You cat," just...
Oh my gosh, yes. And that is so cheeky as well, that thing about "you dishonor my sister" or whatever. And he's like, which dishonoring are you referring to? The one in the kitchen or the whatever? Yeah.
And then, of course, like when UCAD got used in that false argument between Rogue and the Doctor.
Yes.
It's quite interesting because when I saw the original trailer and like you see the Doctor shouting UCAD, I thought at that time it was really like meant. Like I thought something was going to happen where Rogue was really going to betray him or do something,
Yeah. And actually it's quite a funny moment.
Yeah.
It's just, it's the Doctor getting into the drama of it all. Like,
it seemed the Doctor was more into it than Rogue was. I think Rogue actually didn't seem to know what to do. He wasn't quite a good improviser.
No, he wasn't.
For someone who plays Dungeons and Dragons. Anything.
Yeah, bless him.
Do you really do you think that Rogue was being serious when he got the ring out? I did.
Yes, I do think so.
I think he was really actually proposing in that moment.
And the Doctor's reaction, was he thinking of River Song?
It's possible. I was thinking about this a lot, and the Doctor has been married. But then again, we've got a more emotionally open Doctor. So, I don't know if that would be as big a leap for him. I'm not sure.
It was just interesting the way he seemed genuinely taken aback by that. And he was like, I can't, and walked out like, what can't he do and why?
That's it.
I think he saw in Rogue's eyes that it perhaps was a genuine thing.
So maybe he was feeling a bit of sort of apprehension before,
maybe
beforehand, because it's like, okay, this is real. This is like a real connection. Because like their chemistry was really good. It
was really good, but people have talked a lot about the speed of their attraction and their relationship and everything, which is it was very fast. But they're in this setting of a very dramatic sort of Bridgerton-esque setting. It probably helps.
Absolutely.
And when your life is as intense as the Doctor's and probably Rogue's is as well, it kind of makes sense as well.
Well, it's like the speed at which the Doctor had that dalliance with Renette, it was...
exactly, yeah.
It was fast for him, but slower for her. So...
Exactly, yeah.
I was thinking to myself as well, the Doctor seems to do well when he goes to, like, big balls.
Yes. The Doctor loves big balls. What can we say? It's the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. He seems to get lucky whenever he goes to a big ballroom dance.
Yes, I know what you mean, yeah. There were some great moments between him and Rogue. Like, I'm thinking of the bit when he takes him and shows him the TARDIS. And Rogue is so cool as a cucumber and so, like, thinks he's above everything. And then he walks in and he actually is quite, like, oh my God, like, through the TARDIS. Like, that was really nice. And the Doctor has this air of, like, I don't know what it is, but, like, when you take someone... I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, he knows he's got a really cool thing and he's going to show it. And it's like, it's really cool.
Yeah, well, that's what he loves. He loves that bit. He loves it's bigger on the inside.
Yeah.
And I think that... But,
like,
Rogue's reaction was, he loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like because the Doctor, and him, or what do you have that frisson, like, he's trying to impress him, and he knows that he's going to impress him with the TARDIS because it impresses everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's cool. Inside Rogue's ship.
Yes.
Didn't you think his workstation looks a bit like a TARDIS console?
I thought that at first. Yeah. I thought that there were echoes of that, and I mean, again, the ship looked like a bird. That's the interesting thing. It was very bird looking on the outside. But on the inside, it was very domestic as well, which is how the Doctor came to the deduction that it was for two people, wasn't it?
Yes, it's kind of the inverse of the TARDIS, like, homely on the inside and more flashy on the outside. It's like the opposite of the TARDIS.
That's it. I will say I've been missing. I feel like there's actually been a bit of an absence of TARDIS scenes in the series.
There has, yes.
I feel like they've
Not
created this
sure.
massive set and they're not really using it much.
I mean, at least we did get the scene with Rogue seeing the TARDIS in this episode.
Yeah.
But they are doing a lot of, like, the Doctor and Ruby are just there somewhere at the start of the episode. We don't see them arriving.
No.
Which is, it's a different way of doing it.
I mean, I know from writing Doctor Who episodes myself, as, when I used to write some, TARDIS scenes can feel very awkward to write because often they're just sort of standing there like, where do you want to go? Or, like that scene in I think it was the Almost People, where he says, who wants fish and chips? It's a bit like you have to start it with something a bit sort of like they're there in this timeless bubble and someone has to throw out something that starts something. I think maybe sometimes writers can be quite put off by it.
Yeah, and to be fair, we've seen it a million times. We don't need to necessarily see it every time.
No, but then Rogue Ship, you've got like a whole life lived in there and it's more domestic and, Kylie Minogue's playing and you're getting a real sense of the character who's living there and, his life and that's what the Doctor's been opened up to there.
And we're not really getting that from this current era. Like the TARDIS doesn't feel lived in.
Feels new.
Like it did in other... when there was like Rose's top lying on the side.
Yeah.
God knows why that had been flung there at that particular moment. But and like in 11's era with like the dartboard in the TARDIS and stuff, like these little touches. Yeah.
That's it. It looks very clean and sterile. I mean, I love the design. I do love the design. Just and I know that there's jukebox in there, which helps it to feel more lived in. Speaking of, I wonder if the Doctor got a vinyl of Kylie Minogue, Can't Get You Out of My Head Now.
Probably.
Momentously. That was a very meta moment as well, actually, because obviously we know that Kylie Minogue's played Astrid Peth. So, and the Doctor has referred to Kylie before, so it was a bit in universe.
Exactly, it's come full circle now, Yeah, I think we just have to assume that either in the Whoniverse Kylie looks different or Astrid just coincidentally looks very much like Kylie.
Yeah.
And nobody mentioned it at the time.
You remind me of someone. Imagine if it was Mr. Copper who said it. You remind me of someone on that Soul Free. Oh, what was her name?
The old Earth singer, Kylie Minogue.
I have her on my pod all the time.
You know what else we have to talk about, by the way?
Yes.
A great big thing.
Yes.
The hologram faces.
Uh-huh. Whoa.
Including...
You want to say it?
Yeah, the extra edition. Richard E. fucking Grant.
Richard E. fucking Grant. Okay, was that a head-blowing moment for you?
I unfortunately got spoiled because I didn't watch it at midnight like a lot of fans do. I was going to watch it Saturday morning and I woke up and I went on my phone and I was like scrolling social media and I was like, if I see anything Doctor Who related, I'll just try and ignore it. But I like the first thing I saw was literally like a screenshot and it was like, Richard E. Grant.
I know.
I was like, oh my God, okay.
I had to pause it just to be double sure that was him. Like, for a split second, I thought maybe it was Eccleston, but kind of done a bit wrong by whoever was doing the graphics on that. And I'm like, no, that's Richard E. Grant.
Yes, but the funny thing is, supposedly they did a special photo shoot with Richard E. Grant specifically to get that picture.
Really?
That's not like a stock image of his or anything.
Oh.
So why would they do that?
That's interesting, because I thought on Google I saw a picture that looked like that one that they might have used.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe.
It might have been rubbish then, what I read,
But who knows? But then here we go. Also, did you also read that many, many years ago, it's gone on record that Russell didn't have very kind things to say about Richard E. Grant in the part.
Yes, I read that the other day. He was like, I thought he phoned it in. I thought he took the money and ran.
And this is like a soft apology of sorts.
Maybe it is.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mind-bending moment because where does he fit? But then again, is it the toy maker meddling and that's a jigsaw?
Oh, yeah.
You can explain it.
He made a jigsaw out of his history. In my head, he's either an alternate Ninth Doctor that is come from a sort of parallel universe, or it's a pre-Hartnell Doctor that, you know what I mean? Like, it could be that.
Could be. And what it also does on like Russell's mission statement, it does make the Whoniverse more cohesive.
Yes.
Scream of the Shalka's no longer this sort of outlier that you don't include. It's now completely included.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think he has this feeling of like everything is canon if you want it to be.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Which I can understand. Even like Curse of Fatal Death.
Yeah.
Like Joanna Lumley.
Richard E. fucking Grant.
Is canon. Again, yes. Richard E. Grant is going to catch up David Tennant soon with how many versions of the Doctor he's played.
That's it. And the thing is, though, what I find quite interesting about that theory is that surely the Doctor must have some sort of awareness of having been Richard E. Grant, because you see all those faces. Joe Martin's in it because 13 met Joe Martin and understands, right, I was once Joe Martin. But there's none of the other faces that the Doctor can remember having been like pre-Hartnell, Timeless Child. So
no.
unless Richard E. Grant is a hidden face to himself at this point, who knows?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing there is that because presumably the Doctor could see the faces, so he would have. You'd think if it was strange for him, he would have noticed it and made some acknowledgement of it. He didn't.
No.
I think if we go down this route of that TV being a big theme and the meta thing, I think it's another piece of the puzzle, isn't it? In terms of this Whoniverse is a lot bigger than you think it is.
That's it. Yeah. But it was just, as I said, even after I'd watched it, I rewound it and made sure I saw what I was seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, very strange. And sadly, I think you see all the Doctors, Patrick Troughton is there, but you only see like a bit of the side of his head.
Yes.
Out of frame. Which is a shame. I think the other ones you all see their face in full. So it's like poor Patrick Troughton missed out for Richard E. Grant.
You even see Tennant twice.
You do, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Some of the faces did look a bit weird though.
Well, I
like
thought
Jodie's face looked a bit like a weird picture that they chose.
I wonder if they used AI to do that.
Oh, maybe.
Have you ever actually seen, because, we're all talking about AI now, and I know that the show was going to use AI in some of its promotion and it chose not to. And AI has actually been a massive theme in the series because it's something we're all talking about. Have you ever gone on YouTube and searched Doctor Who AI generated?
I don't think so.
Have a look later, because you'll actually find that it's so surreal, because obviously AI is still in its infancy. Well, so we may think it's in its infancy. And when you do a lot of these sort of generated images and you give it the prompts, it searches for all kinds of stored images to create composite images. I speak as a hand-drawn artist, so I have my own beef with AI art, but, hey.
Absolutely, yeah. And
the thing is, because there has never been one particular actor playing the Doctor, so many of them. That's my space baby dropping something upstairs. She's okay.
Okay, good.
Basically, because there's been so many different actors who've played the part, the AI can't actually create very specific images of each actor. So...
I see what you mean.
You'll see this. You'll see this if you look at it. So it tries to create the idea of William Hartnell, but because it's got too many links to like Matt Smith, it distorts things, so it doesn't get it completely 100% right.
Yeah.
And that's what those faces reminded me of.
Yeah, they were a bit wobbly.
Yeah, caught out of action almost. I don't know. And I could tell with some of them like what stories they were from. So it looked like to me that was Pertwee and the Five Doctors I was seeing. And
yeah, he looked older, like with the big white puffy hair. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it looked like Troughton in the Five Doctors too. And yeah, no, it was an odd bit. And do you know what? I'm actually quite surprised that kind of scene was in it, because I know Russell didn't really do those kinds of scenes until the next Doctor.
No, indeed, yeah. But the show's moved on a lot, I think.
It has, and it is very self-aware of itself now.
Because in those first few series, he really didn't want to bog it down with any references to the past.
No.
But I think he said about the one in the next Doctor, he said he feels like it the show had earned it by that point. Like they'd earned the opportunity to be a bit self-indulgent and sort of reference the past like that.
Well, you only had 3 episodes left at that point. 3 or 4.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so he thought until 2023.
Until 2023.
Yeah. What did we think of Ruby in this episode?
I generally like Ruby. I would say that for me personally, I think she'd gone a bit into the sidelines, bar that very important scene for me. How about yourself?
Yeah, she was actually. She was a little bit sidelined. But I think she has some great moments. I've really come around on her because Church on Ruby Road, when she was first introduced, I was really not sure.
Really?
I was really like, yeah, I felt like she was she was Clara-esque and not in a good way. Mm-hmm. I with Russell coming back, I was expecting real sort of human, real life character kind of companion like we had before. And I saw her as more of a Moffat-y sort of companion with the quippy one-liners and the like sort of doesn't seem phased by things, and do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it took me a while, but watching this through this series, yeah, she's grown on me enormously. And it's particularly Millie's performance is so good. Mm-hmm. And that I loved the moments in this episode, the kind of clash of her modern culture and the old culture. So the way she put down Lord Barton, and she's like, if you spoke to me and my mates like that down the spinning wheel, we'd rip you a new one.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And then the scene where she's like talking to Emily and she's like teaching her about slang like cushy and okay and stuff. Like,
yes.
That's so cute.
It's quite Donna-esque.
Obviously, it turns out Emily is a bird, but yeah, it is. Yes.
The TK Maximus and.
Yes.
Do you remember how I asked you, like in this series, if you were to put a different Doctor and companion combination in the story, who could you imagine it being?
In this one?
Yeah. Who could you imagine it being in this one?
Tennant. Yep. Definitely. Yeah, I could see Tennant and Rose maybe.
Yeah. I was seeing Doctor and Donna.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Just with
Donna
what
would watch Bridgerton.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. Doctor and Donna in this one, yeah. Although, again...
Like, oh, my God, this is so Bridgerton!
Yeah. I do. It's good, those moments where you get the companions sort of bringing the modern into then, And the sort of the humour that comes from that.
That's one of my favourite things about the show, I think, is that kind of perspective that you get, and that you can, because obviously it's fiction, it's science fiction, it gives you that opportunity to have those conversations that you could never have in real life.
No, of course, absolutely.
That dialogue between the old and the new.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite things about this kind of genre as well.
Oh yeah, me too. And what were you making as well of this is actually like a series thing as well, the way that the Doctor and Ruby are there in their sort of Regency outfits. What did you make of that? Yeah,
good. I think it's nice. I mean, I wonder how much of it is just, they've got the budget now, they can splash out on different outfits every episode. But it kind of works. Mm-hmm. And it for Ruby, it's like giving her that. She's really immersing herself in the experience.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's the fun. Because, I mean, there is that contrast with, in The Unquiet Dead, where the Doctor said, you'll need something for this, time period. And Rose gets that. And then she's like, what aren't you going to wear? And he's like, I've changed my jumper, didn't I?
Yeah.
Whilst with Ncuti, we've now got a Doctor who really dives in and he dresses in the period, which is a lot of fun.
Yes.
How do you feel about having him in all those different outfits?
It's definitely different.
Yeah.
And I do like it when the Doctor has one particular signature look. But at the same time, I sort of link it to this with the Bi-Generation and Tennant doing his healing and everything, and the Doctor now being a lot sort of fresher and a lot of his baggage taken away. It's almost like he's allowing himself to have the fun again and really enjoy himself and throw himself in. Whereas maybe before he was a bit like almost going through the motions, Whereas now he's excited to dress the part and have a bit of fun and everything.
Yeah, and it brings a bit of Ncuti in, because Ncuti is an amazing dresser. Like, he wears amazing outfits, and that allows him as the actor to have that bit of fun too with it. Because I always look forward to seeing what he wears every week.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he looks great in whatever he wears.
He absolutely does. I almost wonder if it was a request from him when he was cast. Like, maybe he said, "Oh, I really want to, have a different costume every episode," and stuff like that.
I mean, I will say, here's the thing. Like, I really loved what he wore in the Church on Ruby Road. Like, that was...
Oh, that was a great outfit.
I actually nearly called it the Church on Rocky Road just then. That was iconic Doctor look, wasn't it? Long coat, and then...
Yes, I love that.
Do you remember, like, what they released was going to be his costume? And, like, you kind of thought, okay, this is what he's going to wear throughout the whole time. The orange jumper.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was terrible. I wasn't enamored by it,
Yeah.
I just thought, okay, that looks cool. And, compared to everything else that he wore, I thought, well, okay, I can see how they were kind of, But actually, when he wore it in Dot and Bubble, I thought it looked absolutely amazing.
Yeah. It did. And the funny thing is, because apparently those end scenes of Dot and Bubble were the first things he filmed as a Doctor. So it makes sense that whatever costume he was in for those scenes was the one that they took the publicity photos for and put out online.
Yes.
So I guess that sort of just became his official look, even though it was only in one episode for like 5 minutes.
That's right. But I will say, I think that actually became one of my favourite looks. Just because there's something about the coat and the way he kind of just looked on the screen with it. And I remember having this slight feeling of, oh, if only you'd worn that the whole series. If it was like the whole Doctor way. I think my least favourite look would be the one in 73 Yards, just because for me personally, it's a bit too human, that one.
Yes, he does just look like a random guy.
Yeah, it's a bit too casual for me. And that one. I love the kilt and the leather jacket and the vest. That's great.
Oh, yeah. We all love that.
We all love that.
It's a good look.
Absolutely amazing look.
Should we talk about the Chulda and the look of the bird faces?
Yeah, absolutely.
What did you think?
Some of them look better than others.
Yes. Naming no names.
And one of them reminded me of my dog.
Oh, I know. I think I know which one you mean. Yeah. I thought when they were walking down for the wedding and Ruby was in the yellow dress and then he was holding her hand and walking down, they looked like Beauty and the Beast.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, at this point in time, as we speak, who knows? Because there's so many theories about who's coming back or what might be coming back or if anything is coming back, whether Russell has gone for just a complete clean slate of original monsters. They're one of a roster of very, different and original monsters in this series. I mean, I'm glad they used practical effects on them. I thought that was cool. Yeah.
I think Indira Varma particularly sold it really well with the way she acted in the prosthetics. Mm-hmm. She was really good. But it's, what strikes me as weird, and now I've seen it, I can't unsee it.
Go on, what is it?
That they've got beaks where their noses are, and then they've got human mouths underneath.
Yes.
It's like, that's so weird to me. The human mouths are what freak me out, I think.
So they peck with their noses.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been a long time since the Doctor's had any action. The last time the Doctor was a romantic character of sorts, or the last kiss the Doctor had was when it was Peter Capaldi from Missy. It's been quite a long time for the Doctor.
Did he not kiss River Song?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. We wouldn't have seen that, but, being that they had
they spent 24 years, didn't they? Yeah.
I'm sure there were lovely goodnight kisses and, all the loving, exchanges. But, as far as we saw on screen, the last kiss was with Missy, Peter Capaldi.
Okay.
How do you feel about the Doctor being a sort of romantic character again after quite a long time?
It doesn't bother me the way it bothers a lot of people.
Really?
Especially with Ncuti, I think it suits his Doctor very well.
Yes.
Like he really is that sort of fluid and openly emotional character. And I think it's only right, actually, that at this point in the Doctor's story, he is opening himself up to that kind of thing.
I see it that way too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I know that's even the Paul McGann, being romantic, ruffled feathers in fandom all that time ago, and where it's moved on and we've, expanded, and we had Tennant who was very romantic. Some people think that the Doctor shouldn't be a romantic character. and it was shelved a bit for when it was Matt Smith and into Peter Capaldi. And then here we go. Then we had the Jodie series, but that had no payoff. It's quite interesting because in comparison to Ncuti, who is more emotionally open, Jodie's doctor is more emotionally constipated. She's like...
Very much so.
Always hiding her feelings. I've actually found that rewatching quite a lot of her old stuff, it actually holds up a lot better now that Russell's come in. But, you see those things where she's really keeping things to herself or not, understanding people's emotions very well. And so I can see how going back into the romance of things is in keeping with that and being more open.
Yeah, especially with each doctor almost being a response to the last one and like trying to redress the balance.
Absolutely.
Like, if I was too far one way on one incarnation, I'm going to try and go the other way on the next one, like subconsciously.
Yeah. So do you think then there's a place for Rogue to return to carry on that romance?
That's a good question. I think I would definitely be very up for seeing Rogue returning. But who knows, under what circumstances they meet again. I don't know if picking up the romance is going to work. So there could be something there.
Yeah.
Maybe Rogue's holding a candle for the Doctor, and by the time the Doctor finds him, he's kind of moved on.
Who knows?
Or the other way around.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, their chemistry was really good. And the thing is, I know around the time that they were filming it, they went to go and see Beyonce together. So, Ncuti for me is absolutely amazing. I absolutely love him. I think he's an amazing Doctor. He's an amazing actor. And I think he really puts all of himself into it. And, I can just see that him and Jonathan Groff obviously got on very well. And that translated so well into what, the chemistry was between them. So I think that would be capitalized on more. I think that they'd probably even see how much further they could go. Like, the Doctor falling in love, if they were to bring him back.
Yeah. I think on Unleashed, Jonathan Groff did say something about hopefully Rogue will be back, which seemed like a knowing wink to me. Like he knows it's on the cards.
I mean, I affectionately know Jonathan Groff in this house with my two daughters as the voice of Kristoff in Frozen. So
of course, yes.
That actually felt a little bit surreal for me because, I hear the Frozen songs all the time at home, and to have Kristoff there. In fact, it's actually a bit of a disservice that he didn't get a musical episode.
Well, yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? We all knew there was going to be singing in the series, and Jonathan Groff got cast, and it was like obvious, well, he's going to be in the musical episode.
Yeah.
And then he wasn't.
Well, that's it, yeah. So that didn't happen. So I think it all depends on, Disney has put a lot more money into Doctor Who now, and they can afford to have these sort of Hollywood stars in it. So
absolutely, yeah.
They could get him back. I think they could.
Yeah. I think they will. Whether it may not be next series, but maybe the one after, who knows?
No, absolutely.
Who knows? I'd be up for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I will just say, as a gay fan, I mean, obviously this episode is probably the gayest Doctor Who episode there's ever been. And I say that in like a really loving way because I saw someone resurfaced a clip the other day from an interview Russell did on the BBC in 2005. And the interviewer said to him, because obviously he was known for Queer as Folk and stuff like that, some of the tabloids are saying that because you're in charge of the new Doctor Who, that means Doctor Who is going to be gay. And they were having this conversation about how, that's not what they're going to do and blah, blah, blah. And they were trying to, there was this feeling of like, that's not appropriate for Doctor Who to be gay. And now, like 20 years later, we're in this place where, yes, Doctor Who is fucking gay and it's amazing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's a wonderful journey to have gone on. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And
yeah.
I know that you've done a lot of podcasts discussing like queerness in Doctor Who. How did this episode feel in that sense that it's completely affirmed that and we've come that far in the 20 years?
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. It raises some questions for me. Like I wonder the Doctor's sexuality, such as it is, like how it fluctuates between incarnations and stuff.
That's what Russell was talking about.
Yeah.
Because do you remember the bit in Wild Blue Yonder where the Doctor caught himself back being attracted to Isaac Newton?
Isaac Newton.
He was a bit like, as if that was new. I'd always, made the assumption that And especially being that, Time Lords were now, sort of gender fluid and could be anything, that sort of sexuality in that sense, preferred sexuality, was a lot of a bigger scope for them anyway.
Yeah, no, that probably is the case. But certainly in terms of the way it's been presented in the show certainly up until Jodie, if the Doctor ever had any sort of romantic inclination, it was always heterosexual.
That's right.
And then obviously with when the Doctor became a woman, I feel like she retained that attraction to women potentially. We know with her and Yaz it never went anywhere, but there was potential there. There was something.
Of course.
And I mean, it almost feels like it's another thing that I know it came in with Wild Blue Yonder with Tennant, but it's like something that Nshute's bringing to the role, and like him being the first openly queer actor to play the Doctor. It makes sense that the character is now becoming queerer.
Mm-hmm. No, that does make sense. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Absolutely.
And great to see.
Great to see.
So go on then, what do we think about the big kind of scene, the kind of twist at the end with Ruby, where we thought she'd died, and then turned out she actually just punched or hit a book on a bird's beak?
Or their nose, you mean?
Well, yeah, then she comes in and she's like, this is what she did to me, and it's all bent like a cartoon.
Oh, do you know what? This has happened a couple of times, isn't it? It happened in Boone, where we thought she'd met her demise. And, we see how connected the Doctor feels to her because he has his emotional response to it. And he does have that real sense of really being there to caretake and promise that he's going to look after her and that she won't come to any peril. We obviously have that knowing that, she's going to be in the finale and it's about her. I think I was thrown by it for a minute, but then I was just a bit like, okay, so what's going to happen? Is there going to be some like traveling back in time here? A bit like when stepping on the butterfly and she temporarily became a different creature. That's what I thought.
Okay. When I was watching it, what I thought might be about to happen was that she had been taken over by the Chulda, but that the real Ruby was then going to come in or something, and it was going to be like, actually, she's survived the process where everyone else had been drained. She survived, and it was going to be like, how could she have survived that? And maybe that's what prompted them to then go off in the next episode to kind of investigate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was where my brain went, but yeah.
I did love the twist though of that. It was that fight mode that got spoken about.
Yes.
It was that, because that's
that
the
was
good
nicely
writing.
done.
That's when something's dropped.
In.
Yeah, that's very satisfying when that happens, and seeing her like doing those moves. So that was cool. Yeah,
that was really good. And also it gave us the wonderful moment of the Doctor when he thought that she had died, him dealing with that and his anger and how much he wanted them to suffer.
Yes.
Like, that was a great character moment for him. Even as the Doctor who has let go of a lot of stuff, like, he can still his emotions do get the better of him sometimes.
Or even they're just like concentrated emotions. Like when he feels happiness, he really feels happiness. When he feels anger, he really feels the anger. When he feels love, he really feels love. We're seeing that all. I think that's a really beautiful transformation for the character. I just think Nshute's amazing, honestly. I think he's one of my favourites in such a long time. I think he's
absolutely
really thrown out the park this series. And I have thought at times that them having filmed a second series before the first has gone out is a risky move, because you would think if there was anything that didn't work this series that they might have then maybe amended that or, but I think I have no worries at all about Ncuti at all.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
None. I think if he just carries on doing what he's doing, we've got a classic on our hands. Classic.
Absolutely. My God, that's that scene where he was singing along to, or like miming along to Kylie.
Yeah.
And he was like, on that boy, your loving is all, and the little wink he gives him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
That was crazy.
Absolutely fabulous.
Yeah. But no, what you were saying actually about him feeling his emotions really strongly, it's like he's allowed to feel his emotions. This is a very 2024 version of the Doctor, which I think is what we need. I think the Doctor is an aspirational character. And for a long time, the Doctor's been the character of where, you know, young boys would look up to as a character who can deal with problems without resorting to violence and stuff like that. Whereas I think in this day and age, something that people need as a role model is someone who is not afraid to feel their emotions.
No, and I completely agree.
Stuff like that.
I looked up to the Doctor as a teenager as this very gets on with things, but of course, he's actually very avoidant. That's the thing.
He is,
very avoidant. And I've got 2 young girls, and you know, I'm wanting to raise them well, and I'm vulnerable with them, and I'm open with my emotions, and you know, I've gone on my own journey with my emotions and things that have happened, and you know, that's what I really loved about when we had 14, and him being the Doctor who said, "Yeah, I've got to, you know, deal with my stuff," and that was so eye-opening at the time. You know, when we were in our teens, I highly looked up to Tennant, like he was my hero. I said this because he acted like a 16-year-old. He just did.
Yeah.
He had the big hair, he had the trainers, the catchphrases, the energy, the no sense of responsibility. And I look at him now, pretty much almost the same age, and I think, no, he's Red Flag City in some places, you know.
Oh, he is, 100%. I know exactly what you mean.
He's Red Flag City,
and that's a great thing that you can revisit it as you change. The show that it's filmed, it is a piece of media that exists, and that's not going to change. But your response to it will change.
That's it.
And that's amazing.
So it is lovely to have Ncuti, who is that more emotionally open Doctor who can deal with his emotions, because I do think that young people need to see that.
But I also like the bit at the end of the episode where he almost was going back into that slightly avoidant thing. And Ruby had to remind him, actually, no, it's okay. You can feel what you're feeling.
Absolutely.
I thought that was a lovely moment.
That was. And that's the great grounding force of having the companion there who is the human. And Ruby herself is very much of her generation. I mean, it's the generation below us. So, you know, I don't know that much. But, you know, being more emotionally in touch and speaking your emotions and knowing that it's okay to express them, it's great to have her there to just help reaffirm that for the Doctor if he is beginning to slip back into old patterns.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's the age-old thing of, you know, the Doctor perhaps shouldn't be on his own. Perhaps having someone else there is helpful and healthy.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think it's been a great episode, Rogue. I know you said it wasn't perhaps one of your favourites in this season, but I definitely think there's a lot to like about it.
Absolutely.
If I asked you to rate it out of 10, what do you think you'd give it?
Oh, 10. 7.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's not...
That's not bad.
It's not like a dislike. I just think that I actually really absolutely loved some episodes conceptually that, you know, it's just one of those ones that just a bit lower on the scale, but not by much.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
For me, I just felt like it was quite a refreshing return to basics in a way. I do miss that kind of the back to basics of Doctor Who sometimes. So I appreciated it for that. I think if I were to rate it, it's probably going to be, I'll say a 7.5.
Okay.
Maybe even an 8, actually.
Cool.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
So, as usual on these episodes, I put out on social media to ask listeners what they think of the episode.
Yes.
Dominic says, fun episode. I loved the character of Rogue, but the plot was kind of meh, which I can understand. It was a bit thin on the whole. The motivation of the children was a bit, you know, they were just doing it for shits and giggles, weren't they?
Absolutely. Bird shits and giggles.
Which is fair enough. Bird shits and giggles. Chris says, we need to see the character Rogue again. I agree. Danielle says, very, very, very gay, top marks. I agree. We got a very intense comment here from someone called Massive Nerd Potential on Instagram, who says, I am so not normal about Rogue. I need to take him and hug him and play D&D with him and info dump to him about my character and be loyal to death to him. Me personally, I'm a sucker for angst. I love it, and oh boy did we get it. The Doctor crying, the absolute desperation, such Doctor scenarios, and oh, the parallels between Rogue and the Doctor. They can be so good to each other, they can understand each other, they can be the support for each other, both of them so desperately need. So, Obviously a big fan of the Rogue relationship there.
I love it.
Yeah, thank you for that. And Sarah says, as soon as I saw the promo, I had really hoped for a romance between the Doctor and Jonathan Groff, but never in a million years did I think I would actually get everything and more that I hoped for. Loved this episode so very much. Also, when the Duchess character died, I said to my mum watching with me, they keep killing Susie. Nice reference.
Love it.
Great to have Indira Varma back. Really
I know. It must have been really fun for her to come back and do that, with the links to torture. And the thing is, you think about all these episodes and that era, and it was quite a long time. So it must have just felt like going back to something quite familiar in some ways, just working with Russell again.
Maybe in a way. Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah. Perhaps we can headcanon that Susie is a descendant of the Duchess. Why not?
Why not?
Well, before we finish, there's something that I have to do, which is to say a massive thank you to our wonderful patrons. At time of recording, we have 2 new patrons. I would like to welcome Aaron and Jake. Thank you both so much for your support. And you join the ranks of... Oh, can I do a voice? What voice would I do for this episode?
I mean, you could go just Regency, you cad.
Louisa, Philip, Northerly, Jason, Joe, Tom, Louis, Michael, Ferna, Heather, Benny, Caleb, Monica, Amber, Jess, Kaylee, Kieran, Jay, Owen, Natalie, Imogen, and Sarah. And now Aaron and Jake joining that list as well. Thank you so much. We love you all. Ben is very grateful as well. He's just upstairs currently while I'm recording downstairs with Nick. But yes, we're thrilled, honestly, that so many people like listening to us and like listening enough to support us. So thank you. If you'd like to join them, listeners, you know where to find all the information. It's all on the link tree in our show notes. Nick, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This has been an absolute honour, and because I love listening to you and Ben, I feel like I've been like a fan being given, a real big special honour here, honestly.
Well, it's a delight to have you. You and me always used to talk about Doctor Who.
I know.
Years ago. So it's like old times.
Old times.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Anything you'd like to... You're welcome. Anything you'd like to finish with or share or plug or anything like that?
Oh, well, I'm not on the socials. What do I want to say? I think just keep enjoying the show. Just keep loving it. We're so lucky to have it still in, 20 years, and just keep loving it.
Still going strong.
Yeah. Keep loving it.
Definitely.
I've converted my partner to loving it. So, which is lovely.
Yeah.
I get to share it now.
I'm working on it.
You're doing well,
Yes.
Stephen. You're doing really well. You're doing really well. From what I've heard so far,
I'm amazed we've got this far.
It's a beautiful honour to get to share it. That's what I think.
It really is. It really is. It's made me very emotional at times. But yeah,
Aww.
Especially it has though, because watching him, particularly Forest of the Dead, he got so on the edge of his seat and emotionally invested for the first time, really properly, and that just made me feel it was really so nice to share that with him.
Ben is doing so well,
and for him to be watching it for the first time. Yeah.
Me and Janine have our lovely ritual, which is we watch it as soon as it's midnight. So by this point, the girls are asleep by this point.
Yeah.
And I'll go out and get us a snack, and we'll have the laptop on. We wait for midnight, refresh, watch. And that's been so lovely to do.
I bet, yeah. Thanks again, Nick. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Stephen.
Listeners, I will be back next week with another guest to talk about the next episode, The Legend of Ruby Sunday. But until that time, stay cool, stay safe.
Keep watching.
I like it.
Thank you.